Hello everyone, welcome to the Redmen TV podcast. I am Paul Machin because Payjack and Sam Walker join me for this one. We're going to be talking a bunch of Liverpool things, including obviously the skipper has signed a new deal for Liverpool Football Club.
Nice.
Brilliant that he signed the new deal. Could possibly have been timed slightly less suspectly, let's be perfectly honest. But we'll be discussing that. Before we're going to do the Michael Edwards stuff. We're going to talk about the Champions League fixtures and how that impacts Liverpool's run as well, because now we know when they're going to be played. We can see who we play around it domestically as well, so I think that's quite interesting, so we'll get to all of that in due course. Before we get to our first kick-off question though, we have been nominated in 3 award categories at this year's FCAs. If you can just go to our pinned tweet at the Redmen TV, or you can just type I am voting for at the Redmen TV in at @the_FCAs for hashtag best in video and hashtag best content creator, and RMTV Women's Pod for hashtag best in women's football as well. But you can literally just go to that thread from the pin tweet and copy and paste, and that'd be absolutely amazing. As we pointed out last week, both the men's categories were up alongside Arsenal Fan TV, which means we've got almost zero chance of winning, but I like fighting against the odds. So if you like a good hopeless cause, then welcome aboard. We've got one for you right now. But you know, we've won before. And we can win again, by God. So yeah, that would be amazing if you could do that. I'd love you very much. Right, kick-off question. Number one, we'll get into some of the serious stuff first, then we'll have a bit of a light-hearted one afterwards, because we obviously know the Michael Edwards stuff came out this week. There's rumours his contract is going to expire at the end of the season. He's going to move on. That's been pretty widely reported. There's talk of a Real Madrid move as well. But Carol Barnes has tweeted the same. Why has FSG not backed Michael Edwards in the transfer windows? Yeah, I mean, look, Sam, it's a mad one, isn't it? Because here we are. There's no escaping the fact that it's deadline day, and there's no escaping the fact that Liverpool are announcing contract extensions and not player signings. This adds to it. I think there's a degree to which, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong one way or the other, but if you've got a narrative or you've got an opinion on something, everything that goes on around is just fuel to add to that narrative. So the easiest way I put this is like, if you don't like a footballer, instead of the good things that they do being something that changes your opinion, you focus on all the little bad bits and pieces. So if they have a crossword with someone, if they misplace a pass, that feeds into it. I think it's called cognitive dissonance, where even the truth doesn't, like, you can see the truth, but because it doesn't vibe with your version of the truth, then you will discount whatever it is you see, or you find it confusing or whatever. I might have got that wrong, but given the current climate around Liverpool, the idea that now the man behind Liverpool's transfers is leaving would certainly, and understandably, add fuel to this FSG dickheads, you think?
But it works the other way as well. So, for instance, we like certain players, people in life, in the world, and we look for everything positive they do. So it works both ways, and that kind of goes to what my view on it all is. I don't necessarily believe that we're financially restricted and there's baddies being thrown left, right and centre by FSG, because transfers can be amortised, they can be loaned against. There's all sorts of ways. If you want to sign a player, you can make it happen one way or another. I mean, United have just proved that. Mm-hmm. So for me, I actually think it's the other way around. I think the reason why we're not spending money is because of the model that Edwards and Klopp are working to and have designed and created. It's about the type of people that we're looking for. So, what do you mean we can't find a tricky winger who can play when Mane needs a rest or whatever? Yeah, we probably could, but for the same reason that we're not signing Sal Niguez, who's going to come in and be on more money than everyone in our squad, we're not going to easily find a player who's in a specific part of his career, has got a certain mentality where he's hungry to compete, then take his time, get in the team, etc., etc. He's at a certain stage with their earning power and has got the same vision as us, and also brings something to the group, the personality that we're looking for. So for me, that's why we're not spending money. It's not because of money. Mm-hmm. That's my opinion. I might be completely wrong. Yeah. Other people just think FSG are tight bastards.
Yeah. And let's make this perfectly clear. I mean? We don't know. That might be the case, Chris.
Yeah, it might be. I think Sam makes some good points there. To go back to Carol's question, why they're not backing him in the transfer windows, I kind of had a little something on Twitter last week with somebody about investment in the squad, and investment from FSG, as I look at it, isn't just transfers. It's the stadium, it's Kirby, the new training ground, it's the contracts that players are on. Investment comes in many forms. Transfers is just one arm of it, and it's the pretty arm. It's the one that everybody wants, but that doesn't mean that they haven't invested in Liverpool Football Club, because they clearly have.
Yeah.
You know, they're literally doing the Anfield Road end as we speak. You know, we've just moved into Kirby probably about a year ago, which was a £50 million complex. We're investing in youth and the development of youth as well, which isn't talked about. But I understand why people want signings. I still want signings, and I think the timing is crucial in these conversations, because had we been sat here last week when Bobby Firmino wasn't injured or had a potential injury, then and I did say last week 4 for 3 is enough with a couple of lads in backup. But now I'm looking at going, well, actually went one injury and it's all of a sudden it's just 3 for 3, and I'm like, is that the fear of last season? Is it the fear of the injuries that we got to the centre halves? Are we seeing it manifest itself again now? Probably.
Yeah.
You know, but that doesn't stop me being scared about, well, hang on a minute, I've just watched us go up against the side that defended really well when we made our attacking sub early and we had nothing else to give. Now, the rational person inside of me, the rational part of me goes, yeah, but it was one of the best sides in the country and they defended with 10 men behind the ball and it was difficult and it was always going to be difficult and there aren't other teams that are going to do that. But the irrational part of me goes, fucking hell, lad, you just need another forward to throw on.
Yeah. No, exactly. And we did this, and I agree. And it, you know, I'll make this point. There's a because all these arguments have been played out for months and months and months. So I appreciate if someone's got a particular sort of opinion, we might just touch upon it, but not give it the full in depth, because again, this has all been discussed ad nauseum. So we make a point. I'm not saying any point we're making here is clinically going to cut through anything, you know. But like one of those, to your point there, if Takumi Minamino was better, or had been given a chance to prove he was better, then we might be more relaxed about that exact thing you've discussed there. Because if I thought we had him as a legitimate first team option, I'd be less arsed. But I don't think we have, because I've seen nothing from Taki Minamino really to prove that he's good enough to play for Liverpool. I think he's good enough to be a squad player, but when you're in those tight situations and you look at our rivals and look at what the firepower that they've accrued, Minamino looks like it's like I always joke about this, like it's the Avengers thing. It's Hawkeye reaching for another arrow, and instead he pulls out a baguette. You know what I mean? And it's like, now you can throw that at your opponent, and it might like stun them for a moment, but you're not putting anyone down with a baguette shot from an arrow, no matter how good your arrow is, or how good your bow is, I should say. The problem with all of this stuff is we'll never know. We'll never know the true ins and outs, you know. And again, Michael Edwards just might be after 10 years just be like, quite fancy doing something else, or quite fancy moving on. The biggest issue I think we have with the FSG stuff is that it's just, and it's exacerbated online, is people form camps for no reason, whereas really everyone's in the one camp. And the one camp is they want Liverpool to be really good at footy, and that's why I don't fall heavily into camps one way or the other, because Liverpool have been really good at footy. So I'm less like enraged. Whereas when we had terrible owners in Hicks and Gillette, but we were also terrible on the pitch, and we were getting rid of all our best players and all that kind of stuff. It was clearly, obviously, whereas people might be right that we should be on the barricades with this. Maybe FSG are just being extra sneaky about it, and they're pulling the wool over our eyes with a first league title in 30 years and 2 European Cup finals, etc. Or it's, I'm being churlish, but the problem is you can't have a reasoned debate on it anymore, because it's too emotive. And the problem is on the FSG inside, Sam, you've got this like. The expression I hate most is FSG saved Liverpool, because it makes it sound like they performed some sort of heroic, altruistic action, like it was a baby in a buggy running down a street and someone grabbed it before it got in front of a bus. That's not, John Henry did not do that. They were venture capitalists who saw an opportunity to pick up an asset at a much reduced price and build up their portfolio and either make a big profit on it, which we haven't seen them do, or build up their portfolio and make a bigger profit in a wider sense. Saved makes it a noble act, which it wasn't.
I think there's two ways of looking at it, though. I agree with you there, by the way. It was smart business, and to some extent, they kind of, depending on which angle you're looking at, did they save us? They saved us from a potential embarrassment, potential, 12-point deduction or whatever it would have been, administration. So in some aspects you can use the word safe, but where I look at it, they saved us from being a mediocre club, in that over the next 5 or 6 years they implemented the strategy, found the right coach, found the right director of football from within, built the right analytics team, rebuilt the main stand, and are now rebuilding Anfield. They saved us from losing our history in terms of leaving Anfield. They saved us from being a mediocre club and doing the Arsenal route, which is flirting with the 4th place for years and then dropping down, and saved us from not being that team who could win the title. We've now reached that goal. So what it is, all that's happened is the goalposts have moved. If we'd have finished second for the last 5 years and just got 2 points closer to City every year, everyone would be gassed for the next year. But the problem is we smashed the living daylight out of it.
Victims your own success in that.
So they saved us from that, but where we are now is a different challenge. And like I said, it's very difficult for us to have we're all smart lads and follow our football to the T, but it's without understanding and knowing what's actually going on, it's difficult to make a clear sort of judgment. You've just got it's guesswork. But the caveat for me to all of this is actually, and I don't know if we're going to talk about it later on today, is actually our Champions League group. I actually think our Champions League group should have forced us into the market. If we'd have had, like last year's, we could have thrown Origi, Minamino, Elliott on the wing, and I think we'd have still come away pretty easily with the points. But I think actually those 6 games we've got to play between now and December are a lot more complicated than they were, which means that now, looking at our forward options, whether Bobby's fit or not, we're actually going to be flogging our best players for a lot more than we would have been.
Yeah, it's just a lack of understanding. I think, and I don't mean that like people are thick, because I think none of us has that understanding, and it leads to this, like, if they just came out and told us in no uncertain terms, and the thing is, they have done this, by the way, but to do it again is to come out and say we are being frugal, we are. Because COVID's impacted us, and we want to make sure that we can continue investment in the next 2 or 3 years without having to worry about X, Y, and Z, or without having to take a step backwards, whatever. Then yeah, but the thing is, because they kind of did say all this, there's a couple of things they said. Judge our actions on the pitch, and this is 10 years ago, and we had 5 years of being a bit crap under that, so that was hard. That was a hard sell back in the day. And also they've kind of have made those sort of statements. They've said, we want Liverpool to be self-sustaining and all this. So the model's all been set out. So it comes down to it really is that the FSG thing is, we just want what we really want. And I think everyone kind of wants this, is just richer owners who are prepared to go a bit more and above and beyond. Because I don't think anyone's complaining really at what FSG have delivered, because they've delivered Klopp and they've delivered the best football and the best players, all that. And you can't unplug FSG from that. You can't. That's just being daft. But it's not wrong to want. It's just human to look at what other clubs are doing and seeing that they're spending money and be annoyed that we're not.
It is, and there's a lack of faith there, isn't there, in what Klopp and the team are able to deliver. I think that's what it kind of comes down to. And I've seen Liverpool be underdogs and go and win things. You know, Liverpool weren't supposed to win the league the year they won it by as many points as they did win it by, because we were so close with Manchester City, and we didn't really add so much to that team that won the Champions League, but we were able to then blitz Manchester City the next season. So this season, I'm like, look, I understand that I want, and I'll only talk for myself here, I want Liverpool to sign a player today.
Yeah,
I do. I really want Liverpool to sign 2 players today, if I'm honest. But also, I realise that the likelihood of that happening is slim to none. So I'm not going to lose my shit over it, because they've kind of told me all year that they're not going to do any business, and the journalists have been telling me all year they're not really going to do any business other than Canate. So what's next? Like, if I kick off, what's going to happen? Nothing for me. But
that's why we're caught between the devil and the deep blue sea, because
you do judge your football team on the pitch, and what I've seen so far this season is really good. So I'm excited for the season still, because I've enjoyed the 2 games that have been at Anfield, and I enjoyed the away game as well when we were in here doing the watch along. And I think that this team can challenge regardless. I think it makes it easier if you sign somebody, of course, that has an impact on the team, but that's not necessarily what signings do. Yeah,
and that's what I mean about this, about like the devil and deep blue sea thing, Sam, is that we could go and protest, but it feels to me, and this is why I'm not keen on it, and it's not because I don't think it's possible to do better. Of course it is, but it's a bit like twisting on 19. You know what I mean? Playing pontoon, and we're not there.
Well, that's what not signing someone is for me. Because we could get to 20 league titles if we twist.
Yeah, no, but exactly, that's what I mean, is that, but we could, yeah.
It was a nice number you picked there, Paul.
Exactly, yeah. But that's the point, in it, is we could twist, and that could be the little thing that takes you on. But the problem is we had this conversation about the Jack Grealish thing, and it comes back to it. We need to improve Liverpool's first team, not the squad. You can improve the squad, sort of, but that's a bit subjective, because you can get a player in who might not vibe, and you've paid £40 million for the squad player, and then what? And then maybe that hampers your ability to go and replace a big boy in the next summer or whatever. Which again, down to it, we don't know the information on this. You know, when we didn't sign Keita, we were raging, and then we agreed him for a deal for the next year. When we didn't sign Van Dijk, we were raging, and we spent all summer saying, let's buy Stefan de Vrij. I mean, I'm sure he's had a fine career, better career than any of us have ever had. But has he gone on to be Virgil van Dijk? He absolutely hasn't done. So that was smart in that regard. So there might be all that coming, but to improve Liverpool's first team, guaranteed, you've got to go and spend
Haaland or Mbappe.
Exactly.
Or not necessarily because like I said, because
Jota's fucked us, because Jota's good enough, but we only paid £40 million for him.
But you're also looking like, I look at, like, someone made a good point to me yesterday, is we should be looking to replace Mane. And I actually said, you're right. Not right now, though, necessarily. Mane's still got enough in him now for the next year, maybe two, to be at that pushing at that top level. But what you should be doing is looking to bring someone in potentially to compete with. I think there's a couple of players out there who can compete with Mane, give him the rest, maybe play cover Salah, play up front, whatever, all those positions. There's enough minutes. And then looking at that player then replaces Mane in the next year or two. So players off the top of my head who I like personally, which Edwards might think crap, is like the likes of Rafinha and Doku. Both players, exciting attacking talents, could in the next couple of years become superb superstars in our team. Yeah. They're also probably at clubs where if they came in and played 35 games with mixture off the bench and not this season, they would probably be happy with that because of the step up you're making. So that's where I think we could improve our first team, because you're also probably playing 5 Champions League games there as well, which is still better than what you were doing before. Yeah. Now, we don't know what's going on and stuff like that, but so I do think we can improve without buying Mbappe and Haaland. It's just a different way, if you see what I'm saying. But it's not cup final team, is it? Oh.
Absolutely, but it's all. But the point is that it's all gambles at this point, because it's such a very small pool of talent you're shopping in that's good enough to play for Liverpool. Because let's be honest, as much we sat at Minamino, Chris, I know we paid buttons for him. I don't think that helps. I think if we'd actually spent 25 million, it sounds stupid, but if we'd paid £25 million for Minamino from a Champions League side after the performances he put in against us, I think we'd have given him more time. But the fact that he costs next to nothing and he hasn't kicked on doesn't help his Karius in that regard. He has all the hallmarks of a really mediocre signing, because he was cheap and he's delivered nothing. Anything above and beyond, you start spending 40, 50 million, and again up to that 100 million thing. In your point all summer, how much better do you get? Unless you can get someone who's guaranteed, how many more points is that going to give you? And whether they're just then going, well, the calculated risk is we spunk 50, 60 million pounds on someone who's probably might not be good enough, or do we consolidate? Now, the problem with the consolidating is we don't know if they're consolidating because it's radio silence and it just looks like they're being cheap.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, from the 3 games that we've had, we could have gained another 2 points. Yeah, for having another attacker in the squad, I believe. Maybe. Yeah. And it's not a guarantee, but there was 2 points left on the board there that we didn't walk away with. Again, 90% of Liverpool's games, we're going to walk away with 3 points regardless. But it's those fine margins where you need the money and the better player to be able to break those types of teams down and gain you those extra points. The truth.
To the point. The 3 players that they brought on in that game were all the players that they added to the squad.
Oh yeah, good point.
To bring those extra points on top of it, you know, just to make the point.
Yeah. I've lost my trail of thought now. But the truth of the matter is that Liverpool's squad is brilliant. Yeah. Like, regardless of transfers or not. And Liverpool's first team is absolutely brilliant, regardless of transfers or not. The difficulty, as I say, is whether you're going to have faith in that side or not, or whether you just want to spout a load of stuff. And you're entitled to spout a load of stuff. Yeah, you know, you completely are. But I find it difficult to criticise an ownership apart from the things that where I know for a fact they've done wrong.
Yeah.
So the ticket prices and the Super League and the furlough.
Project
These are
picture.
things that aren't black and white to me. And so that I can go wrong. But I find it difficult to come up with a staunch opinion one way or the other from a grey area, which is what we all exist in as football fans, because we don't know the finances, we don't know the internal meetings, we don't know whether they've had a conversation with Haaland's agents this summer and said, and he might have gone, yeah, next year.
Well,
we just don't know,
and
so
all the
I
rumours
can't
are,
make it.
Well,
I can't say one way or another.
And again, and that's it, isn't it? And it doesn't help. The Edwards stuff doesn't help any of this, because it's just another uncertainty. And if you're looking, if you're worried about it, then this feels like another worrying sign. Right, too. There's the guy who we've been lauding as a transfer genius for us, and just to play it out, by the way. It's entirely possible that it's Edwards' fault. You know what I mean? Because he's the guy. FSG are the ones that put him in place, and they've got they set the bankroll or whatever. But he's the one who apportions the funds out. Like, he could have actively chosen to not renew contracts,
but we don't know.
Money exactly. You know, I mean, I'm just saying. I don't know. I'm more inclined to think this is a bit of a worrying situation, but there's a chance. You know, that's just the reality. We can fill the gaps in however we want to fill the gaps in. Just on the point of other teams, though, because I'm interested in this, so I'm just there's other plans to talk about it, but I see no reason to stop. Like the Man United stuff, they've gone out. They bought Ronaldo. Like the Ronaldo stuff is hard because. That's like, they've literally just done that because City were going to get him. 100%. They've literally just gone, we can afford to throw 450 grand a week at a footballer and pay this, 15 to 20 million pound up front or whatever for him, or whether it's better, whatever. Off the cuff. A bit like when we signed Momo Sissoko to stop him from going to Everton. Like, we spent 10 million pounds on a midfield at the time because you know what I mean? But he is better than what Man United have got. So that also helps. You know, it's not like they've brought him in as a charity case to save him from Manchester City. He's better than Cavani, and Cavani's brilliant as well, which makes it hard. Is Ronaldo better than what Liverpool have got? And not that he would have come to us anyway, by the way, and certainly not, Liverpool would not have paid on the budget. Would you have smashed your transfer budget or your wage budget for Cristiano Ronaldo?
No.
That's a twisting on 19 that takes you to 22 or above, because you've upset your wage structure and he doesn't suit the style of football that Liverpool play, as an example. And you could go through this with a number of players.
My concern with Ronaldo isn't that anything to do with him being a player, and why I'm worried about him going to Manchester United is because he's a fucking winner.
Yeah. That's
my concern, and that's the one thing that I think Man United were missing, is that ability to just win.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And like what it means to win titles wherever you've gone. That's something that he can breed into the football club from the top, and it filter down. Yeah. That's my concern. He's going to score goals because he's always scored goals. Yeah. And it might be at the detriment
and that's got nothing to do with Liverpool.
Yeah, and it might be at the detriment of Martial and Rashford. They're asked about winning. Yeah. The trophies that matter, and Ronaldo will get trophies.
It's Mourinho, isn't it? It's coming in, having a massive impact. Yeah, down the line, there's probably going to be issues there. There'll be young players getting pissed off because they're not getting, but right now, you're right, Chris, this season, that definitely helps United. That definitely brings them on a slight notch. But it's pointless to compare them to us, because what we do, everything about our football club isn't Cristiano Ronaldo. So I personally, that one transfer for me doesn't really resonate with me and what I want for Liverpool. I don't really care. I don't think it's going to change the result in our game, to be honest with you. We've got our own things. That's what I look at it. But some of our fans can't do that. It's like, they've just got Ronaldo. What can you get? But it doesn't necessarily work like that.
Jadon Sancho's a bit of the one for me. It's more like, because I look at him and go, I think he fits everything that Liverpool were looking for. It's the price and the timing, and sometimes things happen. But maybe that, and a lot of those things, and that's the problem. Is that there's a chance that Liverpool get left behind, but the problem is, and this where it boils down to the owners again, is that Liverpool had this under David Moyes, where he was a very good owner for Liverpool, and he got Liverpool, and they had a very sensible, and he understood the history and all that kind of stuff, a lot of dignity around Liverpool and him at the time. But he realised, it's realised much too late as well, to his detriment, that Liverpool, he couldn't compete anymore. He just didn't have the deep enough pockets to be able to make Liverpool compete with the clubs. Like once Chelsea come along with Abramovich money, then that's game over for him. And there's a chance that now, because of PSG and Man City and Man United, who capitalise and have always got that because they're actually, I don't think they're not publicly traded anymore, are they? But the fact that they've, that might be wrong, by the way. Let's ignore that point. The point is they have got deep pockets, and they're prepared to gamble on a lot of things, and they're prepared to load on debt to make it happen. They've got all the trappings of one of those mega clubs. I mean, there's a chance they end up like Barcelona as a result of it by trying to chase those, and that's what Liverpool are trying to do under this ownership. Is they can't do that, so they're trying to find another way to do it. That other way's worked. Now the problem is that other way might be a lot of diminishing returns, and it might never work again. We might have just had that one good, we might have had 3 or 4 really good years, the best it can be, and this might be it, and that's a fear, and that's a very real fear. And I agree that might mean that we might need to get a mega owners, and that might be a thing down the line.
Let me read this to you, lads. Right, this is something I found yesterday. Actually, a United fan tweeted me this, trying to get a Klopp, but actually he proved the point that we're all arguing. Klopp says, you bring one player in for 100 million, he gets injured, then it all goes through the chimney. The day that is football, I'm not in a job anymore because the game is about playing together. Now, I agree with what he's saying. Obviously, things have changed a lot since then, and Van Dijk and Alisson, but he put, that is how everyone in football understands it. You always want to have the best, but building the group is necessary to be successful. Other clubs can go out and spend more money and collect top players. I want to do it differently. I would even do it differently if I could spend that money. Mm-hmm. And add that to the quote that I read from Neil Jones. I'm sure loads of people said it as well this week. But if there was a player I thought would improve this team, I would try to get him. I promise. Mm-hmm. That's Jurgen Klopp right there from the outset to now taking responsibility for our squad. And I just wanted to add that because I think a lot of people are ignoring that.
I think it's easy for I get it when fans from outside of Liverpool read Jurgen Klopp quotes or see his interviews and presume he's being duplicitous, they think he's lying, he thinks he's putting something forward. So when he talks about the substitutions thing, having 5 subs in the Premier League because he's talking about player welfare, and we will go nah, he just wants it better for Liverpool. Obviously that's a factor, but he actually genuinely cares about player welfare. He genuinely cares about the game in general. But when fans inside of Liverpool fans presume that Klopp is playing games, I find that mad because we should know better, because we know Jurgen Klopp better than that, and he doesn't. He's
a heart on his sleeve.
He calls spade a spade. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it is what it is. I don't think none of us is going to solve this, and I agree. There might be a case to go to the barricades. I've said this all along, and we started off covering Liverpool protests. If there's Liverpool protests around ownerships, we'll be there. And we've never said we would not cover these things. But when I see, I don't think if because at the moment there's lots of people talking about FSGs, and I'm seeing it trending, and it's become a bit of it's almost become an expression rather than any real meaning behind it. It's become a catch-all phrase it's like saying "fuck my life" when you stub your toe. You know what I mean? FSGL has become that. It's at its value stripped by being overused, I think. Yeah. But there was that graphic I saw a couple of times on Twitter of there's a protest at 4 p.m. at Anfield, and it's where is it? Where are people meeting? Because when we were doing the protests against Hicks and Gillette, it was very clear, and this was this is 11 years ago or whatever. This is much earlier days of the internet and the spread of information, but it was clearly defined. You're meeting here at this time. Exactly. Yeah. It was organised to a T. And if that happens again, great, we'll be there, we'll cover it, we'll point out, we'll interview people, because I think that's the reality of it. But there needs to be that. Again, I just one of those things. I personally don't feel strongly enough to lead that. I don't, because, and maybe that's me being a bit of a shithouse and sitting on the fence, but I'm sitting on the moment is that what I don't want to do is, I'm like you, I'm thrilled to watch this football team play. I feel honoured to watch this football team play. It's the best Liverpool team I've ever seen in my entire life. And while it's there, and I know that our tangible support is making it better and gives it a chance of winning, then I don't feel comfortable doing anything to offset that, because my love for it and my belief in Jurgen.
But isn't it about the exclusives?
Honestly, yeah, all them exclusives, by the way.
Go and check the channels. See how many exclusives we've had in the last 6 months, by the way. There's
not
none.
Not so much. But yeah, But not for the lack of trying, by the way. Yeah, it's not like we haven't asked. But yeah, we don't. Not so many. But yeah, but that's where I sit on it anyway. Is that I'm happy to report on anything. I went down to report on the early protest. We did the St George's. Like we didn't have a camera at the time. You know what I mean? Like we had to borrow. I had a mate to come down to help us film it and what have you. And I got sucked into it because of the power of the protests and the people who were involved in it and Spirit of Shankly and what they were doing and all that kind of stuff. If that happens, I'm open for it. And you know, if a better option presents itself, then we can weigh up the pros and cons. But at the moment, we're talking about a dream ownership, or you know, a dream fantasy owner come in. And I say it, I wouldn't want Man City's owners. No, I wouldn't want PSG's owners. There's horrible, murky things going on there, and I've only scraped the surface of that. Really, I'd be too scared to go too deep into that, because the bits that I've seen are not good, not stuff you'd want associated with Liverpool. But yeah, it's tough, because I don't think there's anyone here who doesn't want Liverpool to sign more and better players. It's obvious, isn't it?
There's more time as well. We don't know what's coming. Yeah. You know, like, I know it sounds mad, but nobody knew Jota was going to sign for us, and about 4 hours later he was saying, what's happening, lad, or whatever it was on the air. You know, there's still time, so just wait until after 11 o'clock and then everyone can say the piece then, can't they?
Yeah, someone said you just had the Hendo documentary, but we didn't, like, the club didn't, like, I mean, Jürgen, to be fair, actually, Jürgen actually offered to speak to us, which was good, but that doesn't mean...
Everyone else was it was like the club didn't go to Trent.
No, I went through. I know Trent's brother, so I asked that, and everyone else we did journalistically by asking and using network of connections and people behind the scenes to get to stuff. Yeah. Again, if you've got a narrative. Everything. If you think that's a thing, then you'll go around and you'll be able to piece together enough that looks like that could be the truth. It's great. It's why wrestling dirt sheets exist. When you've got stories, you can make more interesting stories than reality, and people will buy into them. But genuinely, it's like
lot of Twitter DMs.
Yeah, honestly, genuinely,
that was it. Like,
look, I know I've said this before. I'm just a man, just a person with a house and a mortgage and kids. If John Henry wants to throw loads and loads of money at me to say nothing but nice things, I can't say I wouldn't do it. Yeah, by the way, I genuinely can't say I wouldn't do it. If he wants to put me on the fucking payroll for millions a year, then I would be. You know, but it's also worth pointing out as well, like the Liverpool players are on millions a year and even come out and spoke against them. So like getting bit doesn't your models are your models. Yeah.
Shows your payslip, Paul.
Yeah, honestly, like Chris does all the finances anyway. Yeah, John, Chris, you want to watch out for.
Catch me on the last Thursday of the month doing the payslips.
No. It's true. It's just again, we've just done the whole podcast on this, but it's if you bought into the model, then you bought into the model. If you think the model's wrong, then that's cool, but. It's whether it's worth kicking off about. And as I say, it's easy for Arsenal. It was shite to be. They should be going mad, because not only have they got a really bad ownership structure, that the football's terrible as well.
Can I just say the flip? Sorry, Paul. I mean to interrupt. The flip side of this, of course, is like you can have a fan base who think their ownership are absolutely terrible and who have proven pretty much for the last 10 years that they are terrible. But as soon as they spend money, the fans are on side.
Yeah.
I'm saying, they forced their owners into buying players. They forced your owners into making your financial situation at your football club worse. Like, you know what I mean? To destabilising your football club to buy off fans' affections, and that's dangerous. That's why Barcelona are fucked, because Barcelona have got this mad model where you vote on presidencies and they go out with all their promises, and then presidents need to basically buy the affection of fans. Yeah. So they've done this. Like, that's why Barcelona will be goosed for a long time now. They're not going to be it's going to be a long time before they get back to being that prime Suarez, Neymar, Messi Barcelona again. And they might be good, and they'll continue to be good because they still get the most the most money over most of La Liga clubs and all that kind of stuff. They've still got a good environment.
The revenue
to
will go back
thrive
up
in.
now, won't it?
Yeah, exactly. You know, and you know, if they cut it back, that'll be the start of something again. But that's the danger. Look at Arsenal. Look at what happened to Leeds United. Look what's happening to Barcelona. Look what's happened to Inter Milan. Like, that could be Liverpool. We won the title, but we could have mortgaged the entire house on winning the title.
Well,
and then lost, and have Klopp walk away, and you strike him walk away the next summer. That's
also to add to that, Paul, Man United were losing. If they would have lost to Ajax in that Europa League final, their revenue was going to drop by something like 100 million, because they've got all these clauses in there, which means that if they don't finish in the Champions League spots or qualify 2 years running, they were going to lose money off all the sponsors. That would have crippled them. So it can hinge on a game sometimes. But also, just to come back to the ownership, the likes of Arsenal, Arsenal fans kill their ownership, and I don't know enough about it to say you're all wrong, but Arsenal are spending money. They have done the last 3 years. They've given big contracts out. So maybe your owners aren't the problem. Maybe it's the people who they employ, which kind of one way or another you can blame them. But at the same time, we don't credit FSG for Edwards' amazing work. So therefore, if he does something wrong, you've got to say, look, mate, that was on you. I'm not saying we need to do that. But same with Arsenal. Arsenal have bought loads of players over the last few years, spent like 400 million over the last 3 or 4 years. But they still slag the owners off. I don't understand are they supposed to buy the players as well? This is where fans get completely lost, in my opinion. Most of these owners are far too busy to be worried about signings. Do you know what I mean? If you said to John Henry, where's Doku, lad? Where's Rafinha? He probably doesn't even know who they are. So this is the thing. It's like, I pay him a lot of money to do that job. Like, I've got X, Y, Z, A, B, and C, and my family to look after. And it's the same with every ownership. But fans seem to believe that it's all the owners that do everything and ignore the £1 million CEOs and director of footballs and et cetera, that do the jobs.
Look at Everton, by the way. Everton have fucking loaded. And okay, they've been hamstrung a bit by FFP and what you can just throw at a football club. But they've just gone out. They went out and bought whoever was the most expensive players they could buy, and it without a plan and all that. And again, we're just repeating ourselves at this point. Is like, we'd be nice to have, if there was someone better come along, brilliant, who can deliver all the things that they've delivered. Because again, you can't unpick all the things and all the people that have been put in place at the club who've then gone on and done good things, and then. Yeah, but it goes both ways, doesn't it? If you can get ownership in who are prepared to back that, because again, there's football clubs that have got a rich heritage that isn't being used in the right way. There's clubs with no heritage and they're trying to buy it. And Man City trying to do stuff is just, it always feels really forced and fake as they're trying to manufacture them into being a big club. We've got there's all the stuff that's being right just about outweighs it. And now, get me wrong, if we'd been kicked out of the Premier League because of the Super League stuff, then you're setting fire to things there, aren't you? And that doesn't mean they don't get credit for that going back, because we did force that back into the sort of bottle. But I just buy someone, Liverpool. Just buy someone today. Yeah, honestly, just buy anyone. Genuinely, it would be better. Super chat here from RS1 says, if Mbappe doesn't sign for Madrid today, who's to say we can't be capable of signing on a pre-contract in January? Maybe that's what Klopp wants. Maybe. I mean, again, the Mbappe stuff was a good fun for a while, and he's obviously flirted heavily, but all that talk about it is he's just Real Madrid. He's Real Madrid. He's desperate to play for Real Madrid, and maybe. But that's the point, is that, again, in the Klopp, in the Edwards scheme of things, is that I can't see Liverpool paying like £200 million up there or thereabouts, plus $500,000 a week on wages for someone. It might be one or the other. You might be able to spend 150 million if he's on 250 grand a week, or you might be able to pay 350 grand a week if you're getting him for nothing. But the idea that they're going to do both, that's not where that's not how Liverpool conduct themselves. And again, it's fine to want more. It's fine to want that. But
don't call yourself a raging socialist then.
No, but also again, this is the problem, is you've got to beware, because the grass is always green, and we live in a world where there's too many examples of clubs trying for that and fucking it. That I'd rather us just be able to just be competitive for a few more years, and we'll see what happens at the end of it. But again, we might not be. Who gives a shit? Right, sad. We have got another question. We're going to come through it in a moment. We're going to take a very brief break because the captain has signed a new deal. I just thought I'd draw attention to the wonderful book we've done, Hendo 10 Years of Red, looking back and celebrating a decade of Jordan Henderson at Liverpool. It's available now, is it? Hello everyone, we have just released a fresh batch of author-signed editions of Hendo 10 Years of Red, our limited edition commemorative Jordan Henderson book. The first 2 runs of those sold out pretty quickly, so we decided to do one more batch, but make sure you get them quick because they are flying out the doors at the moment. A perfect gift for a Liverpool fan in your life, or just treat yourself. Their book is incredible. We're very, very proud of it. Incredible cover artwork and interior artwork by Jonny Weisberg, some of the best artists as well on the Liverpool scene have all contributed great Jordan Henderson unique pieces to it. There's in-depth articles, features, memories, photos, and a hell of a lot more as well. Get your Jordan Henderson 10 Years of Red book right now at redmenmerch.com. Cheers. Yeah, there you go. These signed editions available in very limited numbers. Grab that at redmenmerch.com. And yeah, celebrate the skipper on this day, which has been undercut dramatically by the fact that it's deadline day and Liverpool aren't buying anyone and they're announcing contracts instead. Well done, Liverpool. We see you, Liverpool. We see what you do. Pricks. I feel so sorry for Jordan because it's. And look, the well wishes are going to absolutely swamp the negativity around it because the negativity is not aimed at Jordan Henderson, Sam. But I feel a bit sort of we should be universally made up for Jordan, and I'd like to think everyone is. I don't think it shouldn't detract from it all, but it's just a fucking shitty move.
Yeah.
To put this out on this day. It feels so cynical to do this today. Yeah,
he deserves more limelight for me. He deserves more yellow bar on Sky Sports News. Like, if this would have been when we heard, was it Ornstein said a couple of days ago, a week ago, that he's agreed to bang, release it then, get in. We could have all rejoiced in it and, sort of look back at the 10 years as we have done and so forth and so on and so forth. Or wait till Friday and, when the transfer window settled down and say, look, Henderson's signed a new contract. I just think I'm absolutely buzzing. My first reaction was Henderson tick, Salah, come on, get that last one done. And then obviously you start thinking about actually, it's a bit bad timing, but I think you've just got to try and look at the positives from it the best you can. Otherwise, you're going to drive yourself mad. Jordan Henderson, as a captain, wow, he's amazing. Up there with Gerrard in my lifetime. He's been unbelievable in terms of as a captain, and I hope we see more of it for another 4, 5, 6 years, maybe like Milner. And I'm absolutely buzzing for him. Let's just hope it's the start of an amazing season and to try and move the transfer window to one side for a moment.
Yeah. 2025, Chris, he'll be 35. It's hard to get away from the concerns over his fitness and availability. That's the one caveat to all of this, of course. I don't think there's any doubting now, and it's funny how it happens, but I think we're beyond any doubts now of Jordan Henderson's contribution, his quality, how important he is to Liverpool at the side, the football club, and all those kind of things. But that is the one slight note to that is that there's a lot of pressure on Jordan Henderson now. Go on then, go and make sure you are the best Jordan Henderson you can be for as long as possible.
Yeah, and he will do. He's focused on that, don't you? I think what we've seen from him, as Sam says, over the years is just second to none, quite honestly. I think as a captain, he's been unbelievable. As a person, you can see that he's absolutely unbelievable. It's one of the reasons we were so adamant that we wanted the mural to be of him lifting the trophy for what he's done for, and has continued to do for different things. I mean, I saw yesterday he was doing something with Marcus Rashford and Tom Kerridge where he's cooking a bolognese and stuff like that, and it's these things that they all add up, and we obviously know what he's done for the NHS, but we also know what he's done for the team. And I think one of the things that he said was he wanted to make sure that playing was as much a part of him getting a contract as the stuff. He doesn't want to just be seen as a guy who walks down the corridors G'ing people up. He wants to make sure that when he signs a contract, he's got those assurances that he's still in the manager's playing plans. Yeah. And I think here is where we've seen again probably the ownership, FSG, whatever it is, where they have a different idea to Jurgen Klopp, and their idea probably wasn't to sign him up for 4 years until he's 35 years old, but Jurgen, after going through the Gini Wijnaldum thing and seeing how difficult it may be to replace somebody like that and what he brought to the side, is where you go, you need to change because we need this man. And so actually there's growth there from the ownership side to bow down to Jurgen and go, okay, let's do it then.
I think on that though, it's just not to put it back on you, but I don't think FSG have anything to do with this, to be perfectly honest. Do you know what I mean?
That's why I said ownership.
Yeah. But it's just like but we do this all the time, don't we? Like FSG have made this decision. Michael Edwards has made this decision. Okay, Mike Gordon's part of FSG, but it's like, again, John Henry's not gone. Don't want you signing Jordan Henderson down to a new contract, and Jurgen Klopp's gone and grabbed him by the scruff of his little neck and shoved the cigar out in his eye.
The direction is sold by the ownership, FSG. The direction is sold by FSG. We want your football club to be self-sustainable. That's probably top line. All
the budgets
are
set by them.
And the budgets. And then it's up to the likes of Dave Fallows, Ian Graham, Andy Hunter, Michael Edwards to work within that and those constraints to go, okay, well, Ian Graham's the head of, technical development or some of the analytics guru. Right, okay, well, where are we with Jordan right here today? Where do we expect this to be? Are we going to see a law of diminishing returns, etc., etc.? And they're going to be speaking to the coaches and Jurgen and all of his team and deciding what he's worth to Liverpool Football Club.
There's two things on this, and the year is important, Sam, and it works both ways, is that it takes him a year beyond Jurgen Klopp. Yeah, for the start, which is important. If that's if he sees the contract out. So you've got a year of, albeit Jordan Henderson at the tail end of his career, but a guy who's been there throughout it. Hopefully, has added some more medals in that time as well. Who's there, making sure, doing the handover process. You know, without the manager, you might have lost the manager at that point, but one of the most influential players in the dressing room is still at the football club, and he's not a prick either, you know what I mean? Because you can have that. But you can have there's a reason like Roy Keane gets moved on from football clubs, by Ferguson, because he's a prick, you don't want negative big characters around the dressing room. But the other flip side is, he's extended to 2025. We'd all expect him to see that out because we love Jordan and Jordan loves Liverpool and all those kind of things. But like all of this with the contract stuff, just because they've signed a contract doesn't mean they'll see the contract out. What we've done, and this goes into all the things we've done, we've protected value, and whether that means, I don't see that you've not protected 50, 60, 70 million pounds of value in that, but you've given, what Liverpool have done is given themselves a little bit of protection, a little bit of control, keeping the best players at the club, but also giving you the ability to do what you want to do with them.
Well, there's multiple layers to this, which I think is really good about all the business we've done with our contracts this summer. I always look at the Real Madrid team that didn't really sign any first team players for about 5 years and won like 3 La Ligas, a cup, and 3 Champions Leagues, a load of World Club Cups and Super Leagues, and we all Super Cups, and we all say, oh yeah, but look at them now. But so what? They got 5 years of like history breaking football. They can have 5 years off if they want to. Yeah. And I think that's what Liverpool are hopefully trying to build, is sustain, because world class players and world class mentality doesn't just die off at 30. It's like Salah. I've been one of those players who said, oh, it might be worth cashing on Salah, I'm getting Mbappe, whatever. But actually, looking at Salah, because you're that good, you're able to maintain a level of quality and your professionalism throughout into your early 30s, as proven in loads of big teams. Also, on top of that, you need players like Henderson and Milner, because every top side has got that pro. United have got Mata. He'll be there this year, probably won't play any football, but he's that pro, he's been there forever. Chelsea they'd have Giroud, they've got Azpilicueta, there's probably a couple of others who are very experienced around the squad. You look through all the sides. City have got Fernandinho, again, he's about 37, but it doesn't matter. Ronaldo's just signed for United, Cavani. It's about having the balance in your squad. So I think, and also with Henderson as well, in terms of value, is if we needed to sell Hendo, he'd have loads of suitors because of what he brings a football club. Yeah. It's not like Origi we're like struggling with because he doesn't really have anything about him. It's this guy's got all the mentality and leadership that we'd want, regardless if he plays 20 games a season or not.
Yeah, he's a winner.
Yeah, he's a winner.
And that's to your point there. There's other clubs have to buy winners in, and we did. Paul Ince, we had no winners. All of our winners aged out and got moved on. So Barnes and Rush end up at Newcastle, and Beardsley goes too soon, goes to Everton before that. And Hanson retires, and all that squad just eventually sort of peters out into nothing. And we need to bring that in. So we buy Mark Wright in, who had a little bit of, was an England captain at that point, and then you bring in Paul Ince a bit later on because you needed some steel. He'd won a title with United, been to Juventus. When you have to do that, you're also buying.
Was he Inter?
It was Inter Milan, yeah. Yeah, you'd also buy in. Could you play for Roy Hodgson at Inter Milan? You'd also have to. You potentially buying in egos and all that kind of stuff, because the Ronaldo point's great, is that he is a ball winner, but if he gets upset with whatever, you know what I mean? If he all of a sudden he's not happy with going wrong, you've got to live up to his expectations.
The idea to bring in a born winner is you bring one born winner in, and by the time he leaves, they're all winners.
Yeah.
And that's what Liverpool have right now today. Not only have we got Jordan Henderson, but we've got a squad full of 29, 30-year-old winners who've done everything in the game. Quite a lot of them have actually won stuff out in international football as well, and that's all part and parcel of being a winner, isn't it? So it's so difficult. Like, the difficult thing now for Liverpool, I think, is where you go. For, like, I know we didn't really talk about the Michael Edwards stuff in like the depth and detail that probably deserved, but you know, you got Michael Edwards leaving, then 2 years later you've got Jurgen leaving, then another year later you might have your captain leaving. You've essentially got 2 years now where you've got to rebuild the squad. And I think people probably, and myself included in this, probably thought now was the time to start that rebuilding process. And it might be, or it might be in a year's time. It might be Michael Edwards' final sort of spin of the wheel is actually to set us up for those following years.
And but I mean, or the alternative is he's looked at it and gone, I don't really know how to do this. I don't really know how to do this job.
The thing is, what about Garden leave if he goes somewhere else? Because you can't imagine if Liverpool would want him having all that data and then going to Real Madrid with all the current data.
Has he actually said he's this? Because I've looked at this and I can't quite. It's common knowledge. His contract's been up next year forever. So like this has been reported because of the time of the transfer window. I'm not doing any movements, and also. Has he actually said he's not signing a new deal, or is he just his contract's up? Because
I think the Athletic article said Liverpool are hopeful, but by all accounts, he probably just wants to move on.
10 years, and it's just fine. But on the regenerating, we've got Konate and Gomez there, centre backs for 10 years. We've got Trent, who's just a wonder kid. Robbo's mid-20s, and he's made of iron Bruce and iron and steel. He's going to be iron Bruce. He's made of iron. He's going to be playing till he's 40. Him definitely. We've got Curtis Jones and Harvey Elliott. Jota's 24. Fabinho. Like, let's be real for a minute here. We're not short of young talent, so the squad element of it could do that over the next over the next few years anyway. And Michael Edwards was promoted from within, remember. So was Billy Hogan. Nike deal followed that, which is probably in the works, but it still followed that. You know, Edwards was an assistant technical director, whatever it was. Now he's the man. I'm sure whoever's under him, the guy. It's not like we've not been doing this all along. The big one is Klopp. Everything else, I'm confident. Even the ability to replace Edwards, I'm confident.
And again, we come back to uncertainties. We should be fearful of it because fear of the unknown. But also the problem is that there's nothing you can do about that. You know, I mean that again, Klopp will see his contract out 9 years. That'll be the longest contract he's served at any football club. And you know, bearing in mind that he wanted to have a break after Dortmund, and we talked him back into the game. Liverpool. FSG talked him literally, and that's one of the things, but FSG literally talked him back in. That wasn't a send Michael Edwards job. That was a John Henry, Mike Gordon job of convincing him to come in and manage the club and what have you.
Joe, while we were talking then, I just had this thought about, like, because obviously I saw a YouTube comment then, I forget the name, I didn't see it, so apologies. You know, aging squad, blah, blah, blah. I was like, Joe, what I'm going to do, I'm going to look at the average age of Liverpool and Chelsea squad from the weekend. Liverpool's 27.8 years, Chelsea's 27.4 years.
There you go.
Just a thought that I had. I was like, well, is it really like that aging?
And that was with Jota not starting. Oh no, so is that the squad?
That's the average player age for the first team that came.
So take Firmino out and put Jota in. I bet it goes below.
It's probably below something similar as well. And this is the thing, because as Sam sort of pointed out there, it's only the front three.
Well, Virgil, Hendo,
and which you're fine with,
because
Fernandinho was
the idea that he finished
36 years old.
Yeah, exactly. The idea that you finish at 30 is a bit of a nonsense and all this. Like, and of course it's football, so we do think that we get.
So the average age of that, like everyone sort of, it's universally known that 27 is like when you hit your prime, innit? Well, the average age of our squad is 27, lads.
Yeah. So, no, it's right, isn't it? I mean, don't get me wrong. If you take Harvey out and you put Milner in, that probably goes to like 34. But
you're ruining my point here, Paul.
But yeah. Listen, Gareth Baird put a super chat in and said, great news about Hendo, but still wants someone else in, even just for cover. Also, did you get a chance to check out the chant, the bouncy by Northern Ireland fans? I didn't. I'm really sorry, mate. But if everyone wants to check that out, then do. Apparently, Gareth reckons that's the new big chant that we should be having. Scott Hawks. Thank you so much, Scott. Delighted our captain, who's done so much for the club and can still do great things, will likely see out his career with us. He'll never walk alone. Yeah, what was with me, and bearing in mind I've just slaughtered Barcelona for a lot of this podcast, but I don't know the answer to this. I'm asking the question genuinely. I don't think Barcelona got anything for Xavi. I don't think they got anything for Iniesta. They've not got. They didn't take anything for Messi. If they took something for Suarez, it was minimal. No, obviously they got ridiculous money for Neymar, which they then completely and utterly wasted. You know, there's a bit of that to I think what Liverpool have got going on, and I don't think they necessarily want to do that. I think that they need to get to a position where they can move someone on for big money rather than generating 10s and 12s from a variety of bits and pieces, which you should still be doing anyway because that's incredibly smart business. But yeah, you know, that's the point about this is that all these teams, like that Man City team that won not the last title, the one prior to, was, you know, Vincent Kompany's last hurrah. Was that, but he was done, but he was still in his mid-30s, contributing towards a title. He was vital to that kind of run in. David Silva was well in the twilight, but that team, Fernandinho, as mentioned, you can still win titles with players with 33, 34-year-olds, which is still 4 years away for a lot of our front three are all 29.
They're all left for free as well, all of them. Yeah. And Fernandinho will do as well.
Yeah. But it's 4 or 5 years. My point is that as long as you've got other players around, you're still refreshing other areas. World class is world class. You do need to buy more in, but they bought Jota in, so hopefully that's part of that. They bought Minamino, maybe that won't work out, and I don't know. No, that doesn't look like it's going to work out. So maybe you need to do that. You need to spin again on that kind of stuff. But Harvey Elliott at 18, Trent Alexander-Arnold 22. Andy Robertson's 27, I think, 26, 27 at this point. So he's sound. Jota's, I think, Tsimikas is a little bit fractionally younger, I think. Gomez, Canate, the goalkeeper can go on forever, probably. Fabinho's 28, so he's a little bit behind that sort of curve of ages and all that. I don't know. I feel very downbeat, actually, having done all this. It's a fucking... Liverpool didn't win a game of football. The transfer stuff is exhausting. We all want something that's probably not going to happen for a variety of reasons that we can't control. So nothing we do today is going to make that happen today. So that's something we're going to have to live with till January. And do you have to go through a bigger process between now and then and all that stuff? Just do with the Reds coming back and just winning footy games. That'll be...
The international break doesn't know that. No. There's one more thing to add to that. I think I read something really good yesterday. Actually, it said a lot of our thoughts after the Chelsea game were actually brought up by basically Klopp's decision to start who he did. In that, like, if he started Robbo, which means he's probably going to tire and might have to come off at some point. He started Firmino instead of Jota, which means that at some point Bobby's probably going to come off for Jota, and obviously the injury didn't help that. And he started Elliott instead of Keita, which again made Henderson play on the left of the midfield, and again it was slightly disjointed. So basically what he said was nothing wrong with Klopp's decision to we didn't lose the game, it was fine, or we could have created more, whatever, but because of how he started the game with the team we started with, and because of Bobby's injury, it massively affected the likely substitutions, and that's why we've got this sort of negative mentality afterwards. Had he started Tsimikas and Naby and Jota, we might have actually been much more positive because Bobby comes on with 20 minutes to go. It's just little tweaks, little things just change everyone's sort of mentality and view towards it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, again, look, we're just Liverpool fans. I can't speak to everyone's concerns. It's not like we don't see them and feel them, but we feel them. People feel different things to varying degrees. You can be. I mean, again, we had this going back to selling Coutinho. You were so enraged. You were like felt you needed to go and put a video out talking about it. I was less arsed, but then there's been plenty of things where I've been up in arms about it. It's just people think of things in different ways, don't they? And again, we don't know. It's just hard. Man City have changed the game. Well, Chelsea changed the game, and Man City have taken it to another level.
Yeah, Blackburn changed the game, lads.
The game, yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fulham had a little pop. Didn't really go very far, did it?
It's just a shame because
Newcastle.
It's always changing.
No, but point.
Yeah, the problem is that if you side on the side of everything's fucked, odds are you'll be right because fuck can mean anything. From Liverpool now is second place downwards, and it's semi-finals, and it's only getting to the semi-finals. Whereas really, if you finish in second, it largely means you were in a title race, with the exception of those couple of seasons recently where United have done it and miles off the pace, and it's paper over cracks. If you get to semi-finals, it means you're within touching distance of getting to a final, and then it's a game of football. You're a game of football away from winning the biggest prize. So if you go with that, and the problem is the positivity is only ever borne out by the end of a season. So, and then, of course, if you think that people being positive are being blind or in people's pockets or whatever, you're never going to have that disproven because...
Well, the fact of the matter is, if Liverpool were to announce that they'd sign someone on a pre-contract in January, if you're airing on the FSG out, you will still say we forced them into that, lads. That's brilliant. There's always a win there, and there's 92 teams in England, and only one of them gets lifted. So it's much easier for us to be wrong.
It's the bear episode of The Simpsons where there's a bear, so they create the Bear Patrol. And they say, look, the Bear Patrol's working like a treat. There's no bears anywhere. And Lisa picks up a rock and she says, what if I told you this rock was keeping whatever's away? Don't see any of these anywhere. And Homer goes, I'd like to buy that. You're right, because you get to go off the fact that it was us that did this. And like, I don't disagree. In terms of like Man United, they've clearly thought, well, we're not going anywhere. But I reckon we can shut a lot of the dissenters up by throwing money at the problem. And that's cool. And that might work out for them. It might. But it also might end up absolutely capsizing that football club. At this point, we're done. I can't keep doing this. But like you talk about the infrastructure thing. The Glazers didn't need to extend Old Trafford to be 75,000. It was done. Yeah, it was there. But what they have got is a stadium that's falling apart, and there's holes in the roof, and you get rained on when it rains. You know what I mean? That stadium's fucked. And there's been big proper journals doing articles about this, not just me spouting a funny opinion about it. There's a difference.
They've sorted that this year, though, haven't they? In credit to them.
Well, they're in the process of trying to sort that out, but that's the point. Is that we don't know what? But the point is, again, they've already got the biggest stadium in the league, and they've got the massive fan base, and they've got all that thing, and they've got all the commercial reach, and they've got the brand recognition and all that. That comes when you buy Manchester United, and that might be the next owners for Liverpool. Is the next ownership group for Liverpool comes in with all of that basis where the liver bird means something, which never meant anything, but it does now. In the world, people recognise LFC and that liver bear because it's been on shirts in Champions League finals and lifting league titles and all that kind of stuff. And they'll have a 60-something thousand capacity stadium and all the state-of-the-art stuff, and that will mean they kick on a level. But comparing us to Man United, we're bigger than them in terms of trophies won, which I think is, again, the only reason that's happened is how Liverpool have been run over the last few years, because we've tried other ways and it never worked. But trying to compare us to Man City and Man United is just depressing because it's playing the same league but don't play the same sport.
There was someone here a minute ago in the comments, again, I missed the name, who said you can't say we're a big club if we can't compete with Man City and the other top teams. I'm like, no, they're rich clubs.
That's different.
That's completely different to being a top club. A top club has a rich history and has won a lot of trophies and everything else. And by the way, we are competing with them, because you don't compete over just one season. You compete over a period of time, and that is all time. By the way, not just like the last 1 year and stuff. So Liverpool are a top team. Liverpool are a big club with a rich history that have won more trophies than anybody in England.
Yeah,
big clubs.
That's what makes us big clubs. And I'll tell you one other thing: I'm a supporter, not a fan.
Yeah,
and I support my team.
I agree.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just one of them things. There, again, it's different in this perspective on it. 2005 is yesterday to me. Like, I was an adult then, and I'm still an adult now. Time moves fast, and then we went through the Hodgson bits, and prior to that, when Liverpool were a cup side, we're well better than that now. And the problem is that how good we are might not be good enough to win the title ever again, but at least we've had that. We all want more, but no, you can't. My point is, you can't guarantee, because if you could guarantee titles, City would have won everything. City would have won the league every single season, and they would have won the Champions League every single season as well, and PSG as well. Because they should have done, but they don't. Because that's the beauty of football. There's other ways of doing things, and I don't know. Maybe it just appeals to like the anarchist in me, but I like being the upsetters. I like being the ones who do things differently. It's just a shame that people outside of football don't give you credit for it, because toppling Man City should be seen as a very good thing for football, but too many people hate us because we're big and there's so many rivalries that are associated with Liverpool. But that's footy. Nothing you can do about that. We were going to do the Champions League stuff. I'll just talk about it very briefly. The fixtures have come out. I just want to have a quick look at them. In terms of what it means. So yeah, we can get this up here. Obviously we play Leeds when we get back from the international break on the Sunday. AC Milan at Anfield is midweek, followed by Crystal Palace. Obviously we've got the Norwich game and the EFL Cup to fit in somewhere down that. Now this is where interesting, because We play Porto on the 28th, followed by Man City of September, followed by Man City on the 3rd, which is not great.
What time is that City game?
That says 4:30 at the moment.
Super Sunday.
Yeah. Then you've got a bit further on, you've got Watford. Then you've got Atletico Madrid, followed by Manchester United.
And they're both away games, are they, before the City games? Before the City and United games? So there's Porto's away, is it? And then Atletico's away?
Yeah. That's very tricky. That's going to be a defining patch for us. And then as you head a little bit further in, we got the Atletico game at home on the 3rd of November, followed by West Ham away, Liverpool, Arsenal, followed by at home, followed by Porto at home. And then we head towards the Christmas period, Milan on the 7th of December, after Wolves and before Aston Villa.
Nice. I mean, I was wondering there for a second why we were playing Belgium in the middle of that, and then I realised my eyesight's crap even with glasses on, and it probably said Brighton.
Yeah, we'll do a bit more on that, probably on the Reds transfer roundup show, because there's not going to be any transfers to round up. Oh, if you don't laugh, you'd cry. Right, thank you so much to everyone who's joined us for the podcast. Thank you so much for the people who are appreciative of seeing both sides of an argument. It's the best part of life, really, isn't it? And congratulations to Jordan Henderson for signing his new deal. Commiserations on having to sign it in the middle of a transfer window shitstorm. But all the best, Skipper. Yes, thank you, gents. Been a pleasure, sort of. I feel really bad about everything now. I'm going to go off and have a little cry. But yeah, we've also got an amazing competition running for you guys. Last chance to leave. I think today is the last day. We've got a Jordan Henderson 10 Years of Red box set competition. If you join up a Club Legend on the redmentv.com, you're entered into that competition, but some more details will follow. Have an amazing day. If Liverpool do sign someone, we'll be here live later on, so make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Ta-ra. Hey, what's happening? Competition time. Phenomenal, world-class, completely exclusive prize for you guys this month. It is a Jordan Henderson 10 Years of Red commemorative box. These are not for sale anywhere. You cannot buy these. It has got the book in there. It has got the DVD of the series in there. There is a t-shirt, there is a mug, there is a poster as well. It's a money can't buy prize, and you can win it by signing up to the redmentv.com, a Club Legend level over there as well, or by upgrading your existing subscription to Club Legend as well. It's as simple as that. Not only do you get that incredible competition prize, but you get amazing content streamed exclusively for you each and every month. Documentaries, features, interviews, and bonus Redmen TV shows as well. It is a wonderful experience. It's like Netflix for Reds. And yes, in addition to all that, of course, you get to join our Discord group, which is full of wonderful club legends like yourself, and enter into those competitions each and every month. Join up now, enter the competition to win the Hendo 10 Years of Red exclusive commemorative box, and good luck.